When we go to sleep at night, we do so with the expectation that we will wake up in the morning. We wake up because an alarm clock wakes us up, or our body wakes up on its own because it knows that it has morning time and it has time for us to be awake. But what if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep? You toss and turn and you look at the ceiling and you think about all sorts of things that you need to do the next day. You worry about your problems. Maybe you have some bills that are piling up. Maybe you have some arguments that you had with friends or family members. And when we can't sleep, we start thinking a lot. What is it that keeps us awake? Is it our thoughts that keep us awake, or is it something else? In today's video, we're going to talk about what keeps us awake and how we can get back to sleep if we wake up in the middle of the night. The first thing that keeps us awake is our thoughts. Our thoughts can race and we can think about so many things that are keeping us awake. But when we think about our thoughts, we realize that they're not real. They're just thoughts. When you think about your thoughts, you will notice that they're just like clouds floating by in the sky. They come and they go. They're not real. When you think about your thoughts like this, you realize that they're not really there. So when you think about your thoughts like this, you will be able to let them go and you will be able to get back to sleep. The second thing that keeps us awake is our emotions. Our emotions can run wild when we're not sleeping. We can feel anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, and all sorts of other emotions. But when we feel our emotions, we realize that they're not real. They're just emotions. When you feel your emotions, you will notice that they're just like waves crashing on the shore. They come and they go. They're not real. So when you feel your emotions like this, you will be able to let them go and you will be able to get back to sleep. The third thing that keeps us awake is our senses. Our senses can be very sharp when we're not sleeping. We can hear noises that are very loud to us, and we can feel sensations that are very uncomfortable. But when we pay attention to our senses, we realize that they're not real. They're just sensations. When you pay attention to your senses, you will notice that they're just like the wind blowing through the trees. They come and they go. They're not real. So when you pay attention to your senses like this, you will be able to let them go and you will be able to get back to sleep. So the next time you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, just remember that you're not alone. It's normal to wake up in the middle of the night. And if you can't get back to sleep, just remember to think about your thoughts. Feel your emotions and pay attention to your senses, and you will be able to get back to sleep. Have you ever felt like your life was out of control? Like no matter what you do, you just can't seem to catch a break. You're stuck in a never-ending cycle of bad luck and misfortune. Well, if you've ever felt this way, I've got some news for you. You are not alone. In fact, according to some experts, we are all victims of our own thoughts. Our thoughts control our actions and ultimately our destiny. But don't worry, because there is a way to break free from the cycle and take control of your life back. So if you're ready to learn how to become the master of your own destiny, keep watching. We will also share some tips on how to break free from the cycle and take control of your life back. So if you're ready to learn how to become the master of your own destiny, keep watching. Now let's get started with the science. According to experts, our thoughts have the power to shape our reality. They are the building blocks of our experiences, and we have the ability to create our own future. By simply thinking positively and focusing on our goals, our thoughts control our actions and ultimately our destiny. When we think positively, we are more likely to take positive actions that will lead us to success. But when we think negatively, we are more likely to engage in self-destructive behavior that will hold us back. But why is this happening? You may ask. Our brain is constantly scanning for threats and potential dangers. This is a survival mechanism that has helped us stay safe from predators and other threats throughout history. However, in today's world, there are few physical dangers that we need to constantly scan for. Yet our brains still do it, which means that most of us live our lives in a constant state of fear and anxiety. This is not only harmful to our mental health, but it also prevents us from achieving our full potential. But don't worry, There is a way to overcome this. The first step is to become aware of your thoughts. We cannot change our thoughts unless we are aware of them. So pay attention to the negative thoughts that are running through your mind. Once you become aware of your negative thoughts, you can start to challenge them. Ask yourself whether or not they are really true and whether or not they are helpful. If the answer is no, then let's move on to the next step. The next step is to start thinking positively. This does not mean that you should ignore the negative thoughts that are running through your mind. Instead, it means that you should focus on the positive aspects of your life and the good things that are happening to you. When you start thinking positively, you will start to see positive changes in your life. Your relationships will improve, your career will take off, and your overall quality of life will increase. If you want to learn more about how to think positively, check out our video on the 5 best ways to train your brain for positive thinking. Let's summarize everything. We are all victims of our own thoughts. Our thoughts control our actions and ultimately our destiny. Our brain is constantly scanning for threats and potential dangers, which creates a sense of fear and anxiety in our lives. To overcome this, we must become aware of our thoughts, challenge their validity, and start thinking positively. When we start thinking positively, we will start to see positive changes in our life. So what are you waiting for? Start thinking positively today and watch as your life begins to transform before your eyes. And if you want to learn more about how to think positively, check out our video on the 5 best ways to train your brain for positive thinking. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. I've been thinking about this question for a while now, so here goes nothing. Why does the past replay endlessly in my mind? Well, let's break it down into 2 parts. First off, what do we mean by the past? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It has all the memories stored in our brain that relate to events that happened before the present moment. These memories are stored in the form of mental representations, which are like little stories that we tell ourselves about the people, places, and things that have been a part of our lives. These mental representations can be triggered at random times, causing us to relive these past experiences in our minds. And sometimes these random occurrences can even include dreaming. Yep, dreams. Scientists have found that dreams are a way for our brains to process and store our memories. So when we dream, we're essentially reliving and reinforcing our past experiences. Pretty trippy. Now, as for why these memories replay endlessly, well, there are a lot of theories out there. One is that it's because we haven't fully processed or understood them. Like when we have a traumatic experience, our brains can go into sort of a protective mode and repress those memories. But that doesn't mean they go away. They just sort of get stored in the back of our minds until something triggers them to resurface. It's like having a wound that never fully heals. The scab might fall off and it might look okay on the outside, but underneath it's still raw and sensitive. When the wound is triggered, it hurts just as much as it did before. The same goes for our memories. They might seem like they're not a big deal until something triggers them, and then bam, we're right back in the thick of it. Another theory is that our brains are just trying to make sense of everything that's going on. We take in a ton of information every day, and our brains don't always know what to do with it all. So it sorts through it all and files it away in our memory banks. Sometimes our brains can't quite figure out where a certain memory fits in, so it just keeps replaying it over and over again until it finds the right spot. It's like trying to put together a really tricky jigsaw puzzle. You might have all the edges and the obvious bits filled in, but then there's all these little bits that just don't seem to fit anywhere. So you keep moving them around until you find the right spot. In the meantime, though, the whole thing just looks like a big mess. That's kind of how our brains work when they're trying to process a new memory. It can take a lot of time and effort to sort through all the emotions and details, especially if it's a really complex or overwhelming experience. So our brains might just keep replaying it over and over again until it figures out how to file it away properly. Lastly, one of the most intriguing theories is that it's all part of a grander plan. Some believe that the universe has a way of bringing things full circle. And when we think about our past, we're actually looking at the events that led up to the present moment. Everything we've done, good or bad, has contributed to who we are right now. By replaying our past over and over again, we're essentially trying to understand the forces that have shaped us into the people we are today. It is like looking at the roots of a tree to see how it grew to be so tall and strong. Our past experiences, both positive and negative, have all contributed to the person we are today. So there you have it. There are just a few theories on why the past replays endlessly in our minds. While there is no one definitive answer, each of these theories offers a unique perspective on the human experience and the complexities of the brain. What do you think? Is there a specific memory that keeps replaying in your mind? If so, what do you think it means? Feel free to share your thoughts below. So today we are going to answer this question. Is it possible to be free from thought? This is one of the most fundamental questions in meditation, in the spiritual path, and also in the field of psychology. What do we mean by thought? Because it's very important to understand what we mean by thought. We think that we are our thoughts. We think that we are the voice in our head. But actually, that's not true. You can observe your thoughts without being identified with them. You can just observe them like clouds passing in the sky, or like the leaves floating on the river, or like cars passing on the road. You can just observe them without getting identified with them. That's the first step to freedom from thought. The second step to freedom from thought is understanding that thoughts are nothing but chemicals in the brain. There is no other thing as thoughts. When we think we are thinking, there is a complex network of neurons that get activated and send signals to each other. And they create an experience which we call as thinking. So thoughts are nothing but the patterns of the firing of neurons. And when we identify ourselves with those patterns, we become very unhappy, because then we start judging those thoughts. Then we start evaluating those thoughts. Then we start labeling those thoughts as good or bad, right or wrong. And then we suffer. So the first step is to observe your thoughts without judgment. The second step is to understand that thoughts are nothing but the patterns of the firing of neurons. And if you understand this, then you will never suffer from your thoughts. The third step is to understand the nature of your mind. Your mind is very, very similar to the surface of the water. Whatever is happening outside, your mind reacts accordingly. If someone smiles, you smile back. If someone gets angry, you also get angry. So your mind is a reflection of the world outside. It's like a mirror. It's just reflecting whatever is happening outside. So when you understand this, you don't blame yourself for your thoughts. You don't say, "Oh, why did I have this thought?" Because it's not your fault. It's just the way your mind works. It's just the way the brain works. Just like a dog cannot help it. When it sees a cat, it will start barking. It's just its nature. Similarly, when you see certain things, when you hear certain things, you react to it. You think in a certain way. It's just the nature of your mind. It's nothing wrong. So don't blame yourself for your thoughts. Just accept them and just move on. When you have observed your thoughts for some time, you will notice another interesting thing. Your thoughts are not continuous. There are gaps in your thoughts. When you think you are thinking continuously, actually there are gaps in your thoughts. In between two thoughts, there is a gap. And in that gap, there is no thinking. That gap is pure awareness. That gap is pure consciousness. And in that pure consciousness, you are free from thoughts. So when you understand this, you become more courageous and you say, "Hey, I am free from thoughts. I am free from thoughts." Because we think that thinking is continuous. But actually it's not. Thinking is discontinuous. There are gaps in thinking, and in those gaps we are free from thoughts. So friends, these are some of the steps that will help you to be free from thoughts. Freedom from thoughts is the ultimate freedom. When you are free from thoughts, you are free from all the problems. You will see life very clearly. You will see things as they are. So I wish you freedom from thoughts. I wish you to be in that state of pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure being. And I say this with full confidence that you will be there. You will be free from thoughts. You will be blissful. You will be happy. You will be peaceful. Just keep practicing. Keep observing. And remember, you are not your thoughts. Well, before I answer the question, I want to clarify what I mean by mindfulness and by the cycle. So when we talk about mindfulness, we're talking about being present in the moment. It's about bringing your attention to what is happening right now, to your thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and the world around you without judgment. So just noticing things as they are. It's not dwelling on the past or future, but it's acknowledging what is happening right now. And when we talk about the cycle, I think we're referring to the cycle of depression. But to make it applicable to everyone, I am going to refer to it as a cycle of low mood because depression is quite a specific diagnosis. And there are other diagnoses that may have a similar symptom, which is a low mood. So can mindfulness end the cycle of low mood? My answer is yes and no. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start with the yes. There's some evidence that mindfulness meditation can be helpful in reducing symptoms of depression. A meta-analysis published in 2015 found that mindfulness-based therapy was effective in reducing depressive symptoms in adults with depression. Another meta-analysis published in 2018 found that mindfulness-based interventions were effective in reducing psychological distress and improving psychological well-being in healthy people. And I put links to those two studies in the description box below. The way that mindfulness works to reduce low mood is by helping you become more aware of the present moment and less focused on the past or future. It can help you become more aware of negative thought patterns and emotional reactions that contribute to a low mood, and it helps you to let go of those thoughts and feelings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, you can learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without identifying yourself with them. This can help you break the cycle of low mood. By interrupting the pattern of negative thoughts and reactions that maintain it, mindfulness can also help you develop a greater sense of self-awareness and emotional regulation, which are important skills for managing a low mood. However, it is important to remember that mindfulness is not a quick fix and it takes practice to develop the skills to be mindful. That takes us to the no part of my answer. So while mindfulness can be helpful in reducing a low mood, it's not a cure-all, and it's not a replacement for professional help. There are some limitations to the research on mindfulness and its effects on reducing a low mood. First, some people may find it difficult to practice mindfulness, and the research suggests that it may be more helpful for people who already have some skills in emotional regulation. Second, mindfulness is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and what works for one person may not work for another. Third, while mindfulness has been shown to be effective in reducing depressive symptoms, it's not always effective in treating the underlying causes of those symptoms. And finally, the research on mindfulness and reducing low mood is still relatively new, and more studies are needed to confirm these findings. In conclusion, mindfulness can be a helpful tool for reducing a low mood, but it's not a quick fix and it takes practice. If you're struggling with a low mood, please reach out to a mental health professional for support. They can help you develop a treatment plan that may include mindfulness as well as other therapies or treatments. There are also some great resources available online and in books. I highly recommend the book Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. It's a great introduction to mindfulness and how to practice it in everyday life. You may find yourself stuck in a labyrinth of uncertainties, second-guessing your decisions, and feeling overwhelmed by the countless possibilities that lie ahead. This maze can be particularly tricky because the path forward is obscured by a thick fog of uncertainty. To escape the doubt maze, first, acknowledge and embrace your feelings of uncertainty. It is essential to recognize that doubt is a natural human emotion and that experiencing it does make you weak or inadequate. Once you accept your feelings of doubt, the next step is to challenge the negative thoughts that may arise. Doubt often goes hand in hand with negative self-talk. You might find yourself saying things like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'm afraid of failure." Identify these thoughts and challenge their validity. Ask yourself whether these statements are truly accurate or if they are just a product of your fear and anxiety. Remember that negative thoughts are not facts. They are just thoughts and they can be changed. Next, focus on your values and goals. When you're feeling lost in a maze of uncertainty, it can be helpful to ground yourself by connecting back to your core values and long-term goals. Take some time to reflect on what is truly important to you and use that as a compass to guide your decision-making process. This can help you to filter out the noise and focus on what really matters. Another way to escape this maze is by breaking down your big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. When faced with a large, uncertain project, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and start doubting your ability to succeed. However, by breaking the goal down into smaller chunks, you can create a sense of progress and accomplishment along the way. This can help to boost your confidence and make the overall goal seem less daunting. Learning to say no is another powerful tool for escaping the doubt maze. When you say yes to everything and everyone, you set yourself up for the potential of failure. You overextend yourself and take on more than you can handle, which can lead to burnout, resentment, and self-doubt. By learning to say no, you free up your time and energy to focus on what truly matters and increase your chances of success. This can be difficult at first, but as you become more comfortable with asserting your boundaries, you will find that the doubt maze becomes less of an obstacle. The last step to getting out of this maze is to practice self-compassion. Be kind and patient with yourself when you make mistakes or experience setbacks. Remember that everyone experiences doubt and uncertainty from time to time, and it's not a reflection of your worth or ability. By treating yourself with compassion, you create a supportive inner dialogue that can help you to bounce back from adversity and keep moving forward. In conclusion, the doubt maze is a common challenge that many people face. By acknowledging your feelings of doubt, challenging negative thoughts, focusing on your values and goals, breaking tasks into smaller steps, learning to say no, and practicing self-compassion, you can navigate through this maze and emerge with a renewed sense of confidence and clarity. Remember that you are not alone in this journey, and seeking support from others can be a valuable resource. With persistence and self-awareness, you can overcome the doubt maze and achieve your full potential. Did you find this video helpful? Let us know in the comments below. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel and support our work. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.